Good evening, friends. Netanyahu, the last president before the Messiah comes. A prophecy from Enoch, way back in his time, prophesied about 70 shepherds in Israel that will come, and then also the last 12 shepherds from the time of 1948 and our generation. Now, it is Mercy Cohen that brought this prophecy to my attention, and I would like to discuss this with you tonight. And according to Enoch's prophecy, Netanyahu will be the last president before the Messiah, Jesus Christ comes. But we all know that preceding to the second coming of Jesus, there will be a false prophet and a false Christ, or a false Messiah, if you would call it that way. I call him the false Messiah and the false prophet. Those two are Revelation 13. One is called the false prophet and one is called the false Messiah. The first beast and the second beast. The second beast is then also the Jewish Messiah. Okay? And Donald Trump is the Jewish Messiah. But before I continue, I just want to take you to a video explaining Netanyahu's policy, what he will do when he wins the election. We all know that he will still be president, and that is what Enoch, the book of Enoch, says. And we are just hours before the results of the election. It's now about 19:30 here in South Africa. So it is about 2-3 hours before the doors close for the election. Okay, so let me quickly go to that video for you.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has certainly talked about and promised annexation of the settlements in the West Bank before, but never quite like this. In the past, he's talked with vague terms and general areas. Today, he put forward a specific map saying if he wins the election, if he gets a clear mandate from the public, he'll pursue annexation of not only the settlements, but also the Jordan Valley. He said it was the eastern border of Israel and that it's vital to Israel's security and for its strategic depth. But he made it clear that this was, at the top, essentially an election speech. He said, look, President Donald Trump's peace plan is coming forward soon, perhaps even right after the election. And for that, to handle that, who would you prefer handle that? Netanyahu or his rivals?
Yeah, or his rivals. Yeah, we see in this clip, looking at what Trump said on Twitter. Trump said on Twitter that he had spoken to Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss the possibility of moving forward with a defense pact between the two countries. And as we always see, Donald Trump always interferes with politics of other countries, and Israel is no exception. Yes, judging by his Twitter response, Netanyahu was giddy with excitement. He thanked Trump and said Israel had never had a better friend in the White House. You see, this is all politics, strategy. Trump showing his support for Netanyahu, but that is for a common purpose that you will not understand now, but eventually you will come to know the truth. Never mind that Trump tweet was hedged with caution wording. There was no announcement of a defense pact that would discuss the possibility of a pact. There was no promise of action, merely a suggestion that it was something to talk about, a political strategy. Okay. Yeah. Now, according to the book of Enoch, there will be 12 last shepherds, which means until the end of our time. After the last 12 shepherds rule, then come the Lord of the sheep to rule at the pleasant land. Now, the book of Enoch, you may say it is not in the Bible, but I believe that both Jesus, Peter, and Jude quoted from the book of. There are more than 14 quotations from the book of Enoch by Jesus, Jude, and Peter. Okay, so Enoch 90, chapter 90, verse 19 says, "And I saw until a great sword was given to the sheep, and the sheep proceeded against all the beasts of the field to slay them. And all the beasts and the birds of the heavens fled before their face. And I saw that man who wrote the book according to the command of the Lord, until he opened that book concerning the destruction which those 12 last shepherds had wrought." So there you can see all 12 of the last prime ministers of Israel were not good prime ministers, and showed that they had destroyed much more than the predecessors, and their predecessors is the 58 former shepherds. That is the time from Saul, King David, and the rest of the kings of Judah, and the divided Israel and Judah in those lands. But we all know that there were 7 good kings. 7 good kings. And I'll come to that now. Yeah. So these predecessors before the Lord, they did not a good job. "And I saw until the Lord, the sheep came unto them, and took into his hand the staff of wrath." And that is calling Jacob's trouble, the 7-year tribulation that is coming, "and smote the earth, and the earth clave asunder, and all the beasts and all the birds of heaven fell from amongst those sheep, and were swallowed up, and the earth and it covered them. And I saw until a throne was erected in the pleasant land, and the Lord of the sheep set himself thereon. And the other took the sealed books and opened those books before the Lord of the sheep." We also know that the Antichrist will also sit in the temple just before Jesus' second coming. Enoch's prophecy of the 70 shepherds of Israel, the 35 bad kings of the sheepfold before 586 BC. In a vision, Enoch, who lived 669 years before Noah's flood, saw that there would be 70 shepherds of Israel. And he called 70 shepherds and cast those sheep to them that they might pasture. Enoch 89:59 to 61. You saw the first group of 35 shepherds, and what I'm doing, I'm just giving you a summary of those chapters, 89, 56, 61. You saw the first group of 35 shepherds as unique from the other ones to come, which represent the first 35 bad kings of Israel. As I told you in the beginning, there were 7 good kings. That was David, Solomon. I can't get to the other 5 right now, but I'll put it for you in the comment box. When Jerusalem was destroyed on the 9th of Av, and then carried away in captivity by the Babylonians. And I saw till that in this manner 35 shepherds undertook the pasturing of the sheep. Because that's 1 Enoch 90 verse 1 verse 2. The vision showed him that all 70 shepherds, including these 35, go to hell. That will shock you. That will shock you. When we all know that all presidents of the world except for King David, have a covenant with Satan. Only 7 of Israel's kings, and that is including the last 12, were good kings. The last 12, according to Enoch, the book of Enoch, is also bad kings. Although you may love Bibi so much, according to the book of Enoch, and I can hear the criticism now, but the book of Enoch's prophecy until this time, right up to Bibi right now, is spot on. And he said those 70 shepherds were judged and found guilty, and they were cast into the fiery abyss. Enoch 90:20 to 27. But I believe there were 7 of those kings that did make it to heaven. And he mentioned the 35. If you minus 30, there were 42 kings, 42 kings in the time of Judah. So if you take 35 from there, there is 7 left. And we all know that 7 of them were good kings. 35 minus 42, 7. Yeah. And here we find that the 12 prime ministers of Israel since 1948, according to Enoch, they will all go to hell. Not a nice picture, my friends. And they were David Ben-Gurion, which was a lawyer, MOSHIACH, also a lawyer, Levi Eshkol, finance minister, Golden Meir, so a very lovely lady, embraced socialist Zionism, and that in itself is honestly not good. Now these are the 12 prime ministers. You can follow them here, the pictures of them. So 5 was Yitzhak Rabin. He was a political, officially recognized. The PLO signed the Oslo Accord. And according to God, that is not good. According to the word, that is definitely not good. Menachem Begin, a graduate from law school but never practiced it. So that was the 6-1, that was him here. 8 was Shimon Peres, the finance minister, that's Shimon Peres. And then we get Ehud Barak, implemented the first Oslo Accord. 10 was Ariel Sharon, and we can all recall Ariel Sharon dividing the land of Israel and take the Gaza Strip away, and over 3,000 people died in America. 3,000 people of Israelis were just cast out of Israeli state there, and they were given houses further in Israel, and the Gaza Strip was given to the Palestinians. And immediately after that, Ariel Sharon had a stroke, and he was for 8 years in a coma. For people that do not know that, God's punishment is very severe. The 11th president is Ehud Olmert, which was a lawyer. And then finally we get to Benjamin Netanyahu. He supports the 12-state solution with the condition of recognition. Now, the people didn't know this. He supports a 2-state solution with the condition of recognizing of Israel's right to exist. All these leaders have made unforgivable concession to Israel's sworn enemies since its inception in 1948. And worst of all, have lain with the biggest harlot of all time, Babylon, the USA of America. I don't want to keep this video long. This is the important news. So please, people, do prescribe, press the notification button, and do not be upset with me. This comes from Enoch which is a prophet, and Enoch, let me tell you now, Enoch will be one of the two witnesses with Elijah. He is coming back. Enoch lived for 365 years, and God took him. He was, by faith, Enoch was raptured, people. The rapture is a faith issue. So that's all that I have here up to now. The elections result will be known in a minute, but I'll post the video and we will see then if Enoch is correct. And I believe Enoch is spot on up until this time. You may say those he mentioned 70 will go to hell, but he does mention a 35. And if you mention a 35, minus that from the 42 kings, there are 7 good kings of Israel. Okay, bless you all.